What's up, people? In this video I wanted to make it live, which is probably why it's an even crappier video. But I wanted to do that to show you, while I'm talking, these changes you need to see for this build, and also something I found that's broken. So right now, I made some changes to this guy. He has more skill leech, and he has substantially more weapon leech. Now 10 is not much, granted, but what I did now, just to show you, so I decided it was best to not go the bottom tree anymore, not go down this one, because I was doing this before to pick up even more resistance and armor, and then on my way to get wildfire. I scrapped that to start over here, pick up another skill leech buff, and also lets me get a weapon leech buff, and this one, which now is very good. Activating immobilize skills doubles weapon leech for 4 seconds. Now, since they reduce cooldown by so much, I just have a less than 3-second cooldown on Feed the Flames, so I can keep that buff on me at all times. And you'll see, like, just to also confirm that yes, this buff works, I just have to be real quick about it. Bam! Ash Blast while I'm going in. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There you go. Now once I hover over it, it's already gone, so it'll say 10.5 now. But you see it's actually 21. And so yeah, that works. And I already showed you in the last video that this dude for now has a secondary weapon leech gun. So, rewind. My intention with this guy, this would be the end game grind for this build, is eventually what I want to get. I just can't justify. You see how good this gun is. I can't justify not using it. I knew legendaries were going to be the first ones you get good rolls on, because you get them so much more. And legendaries have a set thing on them, whereas epics are just total RNG. But what I want to eventually get is a weapon leech, you know, status power. I mean, status power and skill leech, if I just get weapon leech on the gun, I'm willing to part ways with. If it just has weapon leech and has like a good damage tier 3 mod on it, and then a good tier 2 mod, preferably death chains, because death chains heals you too, based off your weapon leech. But if not that, then they buffed both tier 2 Claymore and Storm Whip, so both those would still be okay. So to just get one of those 3. And then finally, you know, I stick Firestorm on it, or I stick another damage over time on. One thing to mention again is damage over time mods heal you based off your weapon leech stat. That's why Firestorm is an insane healing, because it lasts a really long time. It's healing you from your weapon leech stat that entire time, and it burns them with all, which heals you from your skill leech too. And it's perfect for the pyro whenever I need to just dump volcanic rounds. So those are big changes that really help this dude. So let me just show you now. So you see, like right now, this dude has a 33% weapon leech buff, and more skill leech, 24% skill leech when I equip this gun. Then 66%. That is higher, actually, than what this pyro was at before Worldslayer. And since they didn't change the damage over time mods to heal you based off your stats, I heal ridiculous amounts now when I go to this gun. So basically what I do, like this is perfect for the Trial of Guitar, because that reminds me, I was going to take off. Yeah, I'm going to take off bullet kindling. My last, I'm going to take off bullet kindling. Yeah, I'm also thinking all the damage multipliers don't even work anymore, because the more I've been taking off, the less I've been noticing in my damage loss. So I honestly don't think any of them work, frankly, right now. But so here's a good thing. Let me just do this now, just to show you. I was going to take, what was I going to do? I was going to take, oh yeah, just to show you my other thing I'm going to do on this guy is I'm going to take that off and go empowerment. Again, empowerment, before Worldslayer, it did a decent damage, just because combined with the Ash radius and the bonus from Ash and Death Sentence buffing that damage too, its damage was actually not that bad. It's just not that helpful in a boss fight, because but it still does something at least. But the important thing is that it heals you from your skill leech stats when you put that on Ash Blast. So Ash Blast becomes like, especially if you're in a mob, it just becomes an instant back to full health. So I figured I'm going to take off bullet kindling. It's only 12%. I also don't get it on this. I don't get that bonus on everything because it's only proccing on what I'm shooting, and I have a lot of AoE going off that doesn't even have burn on it. And I just, whenever I switch to, I'm gonna try this where I just go empowerment and just to get even more healing, and that'll help offset some of that damage loss too, since now Ash Blast will be doing a little decent chunk, even to a one dude. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. But let me just show you. I would ordinarily probably put Ashes and Leeches on, because Ashes and Leeches, if it actually worked with the double in your skill tree, you would see literally like 130-something% weapon leech, and it would be ridiculous. And let me remind you again, your max health, this is why, again, I'm a max health build. It's not just because it helps me take the big hits, because you can have a dude with half my health that heals better than I do, and in my view, he's still less tanky, because whenever he gets the hit, whenever he gets the big hits, his healing doesn't mean anything, because he just dies before he has a chance to do anything. So this is why I still like going for base armor, base resistance, base healing. But okay, so, alright, let me just show you when I switch to, so you don't get too confused with how it's working, I think. I'm going to switch to my gun that doesn't have weapon leech on it. So you see 10.5, it should go up to 21 when I double it. So theoretically, it should go to 41, or this is the other thing. I was beginning to think maybe Ashes to Leeches doesn't actually take your final one and apply 20%, but applies 20% to your initial one. So either it should be 21 plus 20, so 41 weapon leech now, or it should be 10.5 plus 20, so 30.5. So either it should be, that would be more insane if it worked that way. So either it like adds to this and then my skill tree doubles that, so it becomes 30.5. It doubles and then it becomes 61. That'd be much more better. Either way, you know for a fact it should at minimum be 41 if it's just adding the 20 after all the other additions you're doing. But let's see what it is. 24.2. Now hold on. Let me just take off. We'll go back to what my weapon leech base was without the double. So 10.5. Let's see if it becomes 30.5 at least. Now I don't even have the double from Ash Blast. That Ashes to Leeches is all I have increasing my weapon leech. It says it should be 20. 12.1. Now hold on, let's go extreme. We have no weapon leech at all. It still should apply 20% weapon leech, so I should get just flat 20. I deactivated Ash Blast. 0. It's still at 0. So Ashes to Leeches does not work at all. You can see, so with that said, let me just briefly go into other changes I'm doing. So the pyro, I'm also taking off cooldown to apply more skill leech onto my gear. That's another thing I'm doing. Now skill leech on this dude, because I have a high status power, my burn damage is not, of course, OP, because I'm not a burn build and I have no anomaly power, but it's okay enough, I've noticed, where it heals me. It can heal me a lot if I just have burn on a few dudes, which I usually do because I use infinite volcanic rounds. What am I doing? But so, like, you can see, I have this helmet you see right here. These gloves you see right here. So my intention is, eventually, as you go up the tiers, your cooldown attribute gets so strong that I'll be able to take cooldown off a third armor piece. And these two things are doing here, because if you saw my mods, I basically just have to switch out my gloves and my helmet currently that I'm using, and I'll get another skill leech buff. So I'll have 3 skill leech buffs on my armor, I'll have skill leech buff in my tree, and then of course there's the ascension, which I'm going to do next. So right now the ascension was health, resistance, weapon leech. Next one I'm going to buff skill leech. When I do that, I'll have 30% skill leech. And then when I switch to my tanking gun, I'll have 36% weapon leech, and then insanely high 36% skill leech, and then insanely high weapon leech. Sorry, lawnmower out there. So these changes, I tested them out, and this guy is much more tanky now. Now, I lost a tiny bit of armor, but I'll also get that back with the ascension system now. And I also, the big thing was not the armor, because the armor's, with damage absorber alone, is pretty much most of my armor. Staying up to max level with damage absorber is really just how you make your base armor good enough for most things. But I lost the resistance node. Now, whenever I get that God roll gun that has that weapon leech stat I told you about, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that in my skill tree. I'm going to lose skill leech, and I'm going to lose the weapon leech buffs, and I'm going to go back down here. Because at that point, in the end game, I'll have over 40% weapon leech on my primary gun once I just get weapon leech on the gun itself, and I put a damage over time mod on it. Sorry. So when I do that, my weapon leech will still be healing me sky high. I'll still have base 30% skill leech at that point. And then I will have my extra resistance back. I think I'm going to do that end game. But for now, the changes I showed you, I think are ideal. Because the thing is, I was able to justify putting Circle of Power back on this build. And that alone, with damage absorber resistance and with the resistance in my ascension, that's 50% resistance. And Circle of Power is a better one because, as I explained in other videos, it deteriorates rather than just going away. So let's say you get silenced by an enemy and you're not proccing your skills for a while, or you get frozen for too long and you lose out on it. You're not using it in the 7-second window. You don't lose all of your resistance in that 7-second window. You only lose one of the additions you added. So it deteriorates. You have to wait a full 21 seconds to actually lose all that resistance that Circle of Power gives you, which never happens, by the way, because even the end game boss, the slow he applies and the silence mechanic he applies does not last nearly that long to worry about that. So yeah, I think this was a great change to get an insanely higher leech healing on this dude and still have the same damage output I'm doing, and then still have Circle of Power, so my resistance is still pretty high. And yeah, and Ashes to Leeches does not work. I tried it. I didn't test as much in battle, but I did do it briefly, and I wasn't noticing much change. Because the thing is, it should be insane. You saw those numbers. My healing should then become insane, but it wasn't. So I knew it was not working. And from what I've learned in this game, that player stats does not lie to you. Because all the mods that don't work, there's mods that I knew before Worldslayer that did not work, and they did not show in your skill tree, and you knew from battle they definitely did not work either. So if it's not showing in your tree, then it doesn't work. Even those new PAX trees, like the Techno one that buffs your weapon and skill leech as you lose health, I tested that. I made sure I was taking damage. I was in the middle of a fight, and I'm tanky enough so I can go to my inventory and look real quickly at what the stat was, and it was going up. I can confirm that one works, and it's a really good mod, a really good PAX tree node, because it does increase your weapon and skill leech. You'll go here, and as your health is going down, you'll see the weapon and skill leech and your player stats going up, and it goes to over 100% from that. So it's like, okay, Undying, that's what it's called. I have that on my Techno. So yeah, that is a really good tanking mod. All right, with that, I need to end this before the video gets too long and I can't even upload it.